Yeah, it's a red dot, so yes,
Yep.
we're recording.
As long as that counter's moving, you're recording.
All right.
Excellent.
And you can hear yourself.
Yes, we can all hear us.
I just wanted to make sure I can cut you out when I want to.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Who do you think I am, Tyler? Jeez.
So hit that gear button twice and it brings you
No,
back to
Tyler's already been cut out for the evening. That's it.
He knew I was coming, that's why.
What's
back
up,
on the
son?
mixer. Yep, okay, you're good. All right, I'm going to stop the hanging now.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right.
You're recording?
Yeah, it's a red dot, so yes,
Yep.
we're recording.
As long as that counter's moving, you're recording.
All right.
Excellent.
And you can hear yourself.
Yes, we can all hear us.
I just wanted to make sure I can cut you out when I want to.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Who do you think I am, Tyler? Jeez.
So hit that gear button twice and it brings you
No,
back to
Tyler's already been cut out for the evening. That's it.
He knew I was coming, that's why.
What's
back
up,
on the
son?
mixer. Yep, okay, you're good. All right, I'm going to stop the hanging now.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right.
All right, so hey everyone, we're back. Another edition of Pop Culture Talk. Here we are with the team, new team actually.
New team.
We get some new faces here. We have a very special guest sitting all the way to the far end, all the way like 2 arms reach. He is Grimlock Stonehammer.
Hey,
And
guys.
We're gonna call him Grim for short. I'm going to call him some other things privately, but anyway, we're very blessed to have him here on the set with us today. So thank you very much for joining us.
I noticed the elf boy's not here because I was showing up as the dwarf, so, it happens.
Yeah, the elves can't hang,
Nope.
at certain
Nope.
times. Or maybe he just wanted to give you your proper respect and give you your opportunity to have your say in things, your opinion, without having Highborn's opinion
High
shot back
ones.
at you.
Yeah, probably.
And of course, we have our trusty production guy, Phil,
Hello. Hi, it's me.
joining us
Oh,
once again on
it's very
camera.
loud. Hi.
The voice.
And
Yes, the Phil of voice.
Phil
it's
the
me.
voice.
It's
And
me,
so
that voice, what Phil?
We have a nice lineup of topics tonight, but before we get into it, we want to point out that if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you like our video, you comment on the video, and then you share it. Those 4 things. And if you have already subscribed, you're still eligible, by the way. You are eligible to actually win in a raffle this really awesome Batman Harley Quinn mashup shirt. So, yeah, pretty awesome. And when we do the next video, there's going to be another very cool mashup T-shirt available to you, but that's for another topic, right? So,
Next time.
Next time, yes. So we're going to start off talk with a little bit of a giant lizard problem.
Giant lizard.
Yeah, that's infested the theaters lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Croc? Kill Croc? No.
No, not
No,
Killer
that was,
Croc.
that was a couple
Okay.
years ago.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about Godzilla this month.
Yeah. Well, he's also known as Godzilla for some.
Oh,
So,
Godzilla.
yes.
Gojira.
Gojira.
Godzilla.
Gojira. And
This month we're going to be talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Word of advice: spoilers are going to be happening.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have
yeah.
not seen it yet, go see it. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Grim?
It was awesome. It
All
was phenomenal.
okay, I'm gonna be the.
Of course you are.
I'm gonna be the guy
You're
tonight.
going to be that guy.
I'm gonna be the guy to say you guys are overinflating your love for Godzilla.
What are you talking about?
But that's okay. We'll more on that as we proceed. So hey, it's been a while since we had a Godzilla film. This was the follow-up to a very successful outing
Yes.
for the King of Monsters.
Legendary's 2014 Godzilla. Obviously, that came out 5 years ago. It was very well received, and Toho gave Legendary and Warner Brothers the go-ahead to make a sequel. And they started making their own MonsterVerse, which
It's kind of funny that they don't mention 1999 or was it 2000? They
Uh,
don't. They skip right over it.
Oh,
Talking the
98?
Matthew Broderick train wreck.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of fish.
We don't talk about that one at all.
No, that deserves to sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Underfoot.
Oh God.
No.
Too soon.
The pun master's at it again. Here we
Yes.
go.
So, in 2016, Legendary released Kong Skull Island, which was also a well-received movie. I enjoyed it. I don't know how you guys stood on that one, but
I don't think I saw that one. Is that the Peter Jackson one?
no.
No.
Oh, it's not the
no.
Peter Jackson one.
No.
Kong Skull Island was I can't remember who directed it, but it starred Loki, Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston.
Hiddleston. I
It
couldn't think
started
of.
Loki and
Well-
King Kong together.
Well, I was gonna say Tom Holland. And I'm like, wait, no, that's the wrong Tom.
Tom Holland? No. Yeah.
No, it's Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, and a couple other people whose names, unfortunately, I can't remember. But it was.
I'm glad Tyler's not here to hear you say Brie Larson because he probably would have been turning.
Yeah,
red
he
with
would have-
rage
Is,
again.
is that his like trigger word or something? Because I've been watching your program, and every time you guys mention him, he's like, "Arrgh!" and I'm like, why?
Yeah, yeah.
He's
he's a
he has his
skeptic.
opinions.
He's
He
a
has his
skeptic.
opinions, and he is entitled to them.
Well, because they're wrong, but that's okay.
You know,
Go. We get some dwarf rage already happening.
No, not yet. Wait till we talk about magic.
so after Kong Skull Island, they were kind of saying like, "Hey, we're going to be building up to Godzilla versus King Kong," but not yet because we got King of the Monsters showing up right now, and with King of the Monsters, it's a direct follow-up to the events of Godzilla. You know, it's 5 years later. We have the world is in panic right now, obviously, because now everyone knows monsters are real.
It kind of had like that Pacific Rim type feel to it. Like what?
Yes, very
You
post-apocalyptic. Not a post-apocalyptic. The apocalypse is happening now.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that.
You know, government's trying to step in, saying like, okay, this is the big question: are we going to try and coexist with them, or are we going to try and destroy them? Because we're thinking we're going to destroy them.
Which is a bad idea.
You know,
What's the name of the organization? The government organization?
Monarch.
Monarch. That's it.
Monarch
Yep.
is the organization that it is their job to handle, shepherd, take care of these titans.
They're kind of like the MMB,
Yeah.
except for they deal with giant kaiju instead of aliens. I
They're-
would say.
They're the monster versus version of Shield.
Okay. Yep. That's
Yes.
pretty accurate. That's a good description.
So we have a couple characters returning from 2014 Godzilla. We have Ken Watanabe returning.
Let them fight. Let
yes.
them fight.
He does a great job as always.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good. I agree.
I wish I remembered actors' names as well as I remember characters.
Vera
just-
Farmiga.
Say again?
Vera Farmiga. Is that how you pronounce her name?
I believe so.
Yeah, the actress.
Tell us in the comments below if we're wrong, please. We do like being corrected.
Especially Phil. Phil likes to be corrected a lot. Hi.
I'm going to cut that out.
Is that foreshadowing?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, we're off to a rough spot here, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part?
Oh no. Let's just continue with the characters here.
Oh,
Who-
okay.
Who are the characters? The main players in the movie.
Okay, so we have Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
She is our main child character.
Yep.
11 from Stranger Things.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
We have her mom, Ellen, and her
Yep.
dad, Mark. Mm-hmm. I don't think we actually got a last name in the movie.
No.
And at the end of the day, really, is it that important?
No, because it's a Godzilla movie, guys. The people really don't matter. We all know what we're here for. We're here to watch monsters.
They could have just been called Mom and Dad, and that's probably all people would.
Yes,
cared
hello.
about.
I am father human. This is my wife human, and my daughter child human. But no. other human characters, we have Charles Dance plays an eco-terrorist named Arthur Jonah, who is obviously our human antagonist, which in a Godzilla movie, do we really need a human antagonist? You know.
He's definitely the antagonist. Well, one of the antagonists, but I would not say he's the primary antagonist.
No. Oh, I know what he's talking about.
Even human-wise.
I know what he's talking about. Yep.
Okay. Chris, why don't you explain what you're saying?
Oh, okay. All right.
Put him on the spot.
I'm trying to tease it, but that's all right. So, the little girl, the mom and dad, all right, they don't see really eye to eye, do they? No. No. Dad is kind of, he's experienced some horrors that, well, actually both of them have, with their son being killed in the initial, how should I say, stomping of San Francisco.
Yeah. 'Cause they had a lot of
that happened
2014's
in the 2014 movie.
San Francisco attack. This family lost their oldest child, Andrew, I think his name, Andrew. He died. The family kind of broke apart from that incident. We should probably mention that both parents worked for Monarch.
Both parents worked for Monarch, and one of whom developed a pretty cool invention.
Yeah, she Ellen developed a piece of technology called the Orca, which essentially lets her audibly control the Titans or communicate with them.
It was originally made
alpha.
Yeah.
It mimics the alpha call.
Yeah.
Basically.
Kind of like How to Train a Dragon.
Yes. The alpha dragons,
the king of the dragons. He's like,
asserting auditory dominance over those lesser than themselves.
Yes.
So Ellen was able to basically manufacture an alpha's call so that they can theoretically control the kaiju.
and who did they try it on first?
A larval Mothra.
Yes.
And
She was not happy.
well, no, she kind of started freaking out at first because she was in a containment field. There were people pointing guns at her,
And then, one stupid human shoots at her, and, it just downward from there.
I mean, to be fair, if you saw a bug the size of a building, you'd probably panic too.
Well, because the Starship Troopers, yeah.
I know I would.
I probably would have too.
The only thing worse would have been a giant shark.
And a tornado.
Nice reference there, Tim.
Very timely.
This is not as sweet as sci-fi can make it to be.
I know.
So immediately after the pacifying of baby Mothra, Charles Dance and his Arthur Jonah and his terrorists come in, killing all of the scientists except for Ellen and 11. I can't remember the kid's name.
Who you could really tell her acting ability because she is a lot different from Stranger Things to this character.
She acts way more like a kid. She acts way more like an actual kid than how she did in Stranger Things.
Absolutely.
So what proceeds to follow for the human story is essentially Mark, the dad, who is divorced from Ellen, is currently trying to find them and save his daughter because that's really the only person he cares about in this apocalyptic world. And he's kind of just roped in with Monarch because they're trying to basically retake the Orca and try and calm down all these Titans, which are breaking loose and wreaking havoc because...
You missed a very important part of that story.
I was kind of leading into that.
Okay.
You should have said the part where they meet up with, what was it, Zero, Monster Zero?
Yes, Monster Zero. So we get our biggest antagonist, both in terms of story and actual size. In Antarctica, we have Monster Zero, also known as King Ghidorah. And Ellen releases King Ghidorah to the confusion of everyone, including the audience. I was very confused when that
Yeah,
happened.
I was kind of shocked when she because the detonator falls out of the guy's hand,
Yes.
and
And
looks like there's gonna be a rescue, and all of a sudden she's like picks it up and she's like, "Run!"
And she releases King Ghidorah, who is objectively one of the most terrifying kaiju I've ever seen.
Yep.
In this movie, especially because he's not. Well, obviously, it's CG now. It's not a guy in a rubber suit.
He was terrifying in the other the Netflix Godzilla too.
That's true.
You don't, yeah.
But
Yeah.
especially now, he's like this. Like he's much more of like an animal instead of like a guy waving his arms around like a wacky arm flailing inflatable tube man. They're very much like an actual creature that has 3 separate minds that kind of hate themselves.
Yeah, I saw that a lot. It was kind of interesting that they were like basically siblings. They kind of like reminded me of Mighty Python and Search of the Holy Grail with the 3
Yes,
knights.
the 3-headed knight. I remember that.
Nice reference, but that's not exactly what I thought of when I was watching this movie.
Oh, what did you think?
I don't know how it came across as funny to you. I mean, the 3-headed giant is just a barrel of laughs. This thing was anything but that. I will say this: hand it to the filmmakers. All right, the special effects were top notch. All right, they clearly spent a lot more time on the special effects than the script.
Yes.
Anyway,
That was a big shot. That was a deep
Wow.
cut.
Wow.
Okay, so we have
top notch special effects. That thing was scary.
not only was it scary, they did something that I really like in these movies where they gave the monsters like a sense of personality. Like with Ghidorah, it's always like fighting amongst its 3 heads.
Yeah.
Sort of like the middle head is like the oldest sibling trying to like, hey, we're focusing on this. And the other heads are like, butterfly. No, that's a moth.
The scene with Godzilla, like when they were tracking him, and they're like, "Oh, we already know where he is." When they're at the base, and he's coming toward when they're on like underwater, and they see him coming towards them. That was pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were just like,
The light display.
Yes.
The-
that was good. There were some really good intense moments in the movie, but I'd like to get back to the nature of the antagonist again. So
Ellen?
we're talking. Yes, exactly. Let's talk about Ellen.
So-
Let's talk about what crazy pills she had that morning.
Ellen's crazy pill ultimately comes down to this delusion she has that humanity is a sickness on Earth
Yes.
that will inevitably destroy the Earth, and the Earth in retaliation has started to release the Titans as a fever to purge humanity and the evils that they inflict upon the Earth off the Earth.
and the thing is about that is they added something new with the Kaijus. Was apparently they heal the land after they destroy it. That's what she was saying. I was like, well, that's new.
She definitely had a little bit of an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez vibe going.
Yeah. Definitely a kind of the ends justify the means kind of mentality. I'll be honest, not my favorite kind of antagonist, but
Okay.
you know, listen, I don't watch Godzilla movies for the human
Plot.
drama.
Yeah, exactly. We're there
I
for
watch it for the
giant
spectacle.
The biggest
monsters
monsters are us.
fighting. Is awesome.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about with Ellen, or because I think we kind of just summed it up perfectly right there.
I just thought it was kind of funny how during the course of the movie, the eco terrorist guy, what's his name, Arthur
Jonah, yes.
Jonah, even kind of looks at her like she's a crazy nut.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
At one point,
Yeah, he's kind of just giving her the side eye that
like, really, you're gonna do this?
The-
Like all of them? You're gonna release them all?
the Tywin Lannister side eye look. That look that we've all been missing for the past few years. I know I have anyway. Yeah, You know it's bad when the eco-terrorist kind of looks at you and is just like, whoa, slow your roll. Hey, chill.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I didn't do that. Ghidorah, Monster Zero did it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do like their banter though, like between Ellen and Jonah. They were, they had like this, like, almost like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a somewhat witty kind of like back and forth with like, hey, we're terrorists. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do trying to save your daughter? You're a terrorist right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was kind of like they had guns on her. It's like, where are you going? I'm going to save my daughter. And they're like, oh, just let her go.
Just let her go.
Just let her go. Like what? Okay.
Well, realistically, like, where do you think this crazy woman's gonna go? Like, that's the big thing. Is just like, they're like, oh, the apocalypse is happening in Boston right now.
And that was actually something that was a kind of amazing. It wasn't New York. Everything happens in New York.
That's because it's cheaper to film in New York.
But now it happened in Boston. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I liked that it took place in our home state.
Yeah, that was kind of
Bringing
nice
it home.
seeing Fenway and yeah.
Getting destroyed. Yeah, it was amazing.
I kind of thought the joke.
Anytime I see baseball stadiums getting destroyed. Oh wait, no, it's not. That's not going to go over too well with our crowd.
Oh, I can see the comments now. What?
One of the things that I really enjoyed was
Finally, something exciting happened in a baseball stadium.
Ooh. Wow.
Sorry, everyone.
So, I think the daughter had like 13 lives because the action sequences was. Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't die. And all of those scenes.
Yeah, she kind of had a plot armor on her, which ordinarily I have a problem with, but in a Godzilla movie, most of the characters survive. Like, most of the humans survive. The ones who don't are usually, like, of our main characters.
Yeah.
Eh,
But you know what?
yeah,
It's okay
yeah.
that she has the plot armor on because no one wants to see her die anyway. She's a very redeeming character. You have sympathy for her, empathy.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see any harm come to her.
Exactly.
So you're in her corner the entire time.
Exactly.
If you
And
didn't
when-
have that, yeah, the plot armor thing would have been a little bit more.
But the
annoying,
mother
I think.
got it what she deserved. It was karma. And then she's like,
She did kind of redeem herself
Yep.
in my eye a
She
little
did,
bit.
yeah, she did.
She
She did.
she in the final battle, she pulls Ghidorah away. She like gets his attention with the orca, and she distracts Ghidorah enough, and has him chase her around the ruins of Boston. So Godzilla has enough time to get up.
and then she's like, long live the king. But that thing must have been like really strong made because didn't Ghidorah like step on it, destroy it, and it still worked?
He didn't step on it. Like some debris fell on it.
Oh, okay.
I will say this. So she did have that redemptive moment, but the greatest sacrifice was made by a different character, and because he didn't have the same motivations.
You're right. You're definitely right.
Yeah. So
That was an amazing scene.
Do you want to go with that, or do you want?
Please, yeah.
Okay,
go for it.
so in these Godzilla movies, in this MonsterVerse, they use the Hollow Earth theory of how the world works, which is, there's different shells and layers of the Earth. And where the Titans usually are hiding is in these hollow spaces of the Earth. That's where Godzilla lives 98% of the time when he's not stomping his way around the world.
No. Tell me about that visual scene when they were going down and to like reduce him. Oh, that was just phenomenal. Seeing this ancient society.
Yeah, so in this
It was amazing.
pocket bubble where they find Godzilla is a sunken ruined city, which I could only really explain as like maybe Atlantis. Some
No,
ancient-
it was cooler than Atlantis.
It's a city in which Godzilla was worshipped as a god.
Yes.
So this is where he is residing, and Ken Watanabe's character, Dr. Asian last name, I don't remember, Ken Watanabe.
You went out on a limb there, Phil. Asian last name.
Ken Watanabe says that he will go to Godzilla and basically hand deliver him a nuclear warhead to
Yes.
give him enough juice to power up and wake up for this final showdown with Ghidorah.
And he does the How to Train Your Dragon thing, touching his.
Yeah, he reaches out and makes physical contact with Godzilla, and you get to see like this close up of Godzilla's face, and he actually has like very human eyes, which
Yes.
I thought was really cool. Like that's a classic Godzilla motif of
Yeah.
like the close ups in his face. He has like these very human like eyes.
I thought that was a very cool moment between Godzilla and Ken Watanabe's character.
Yeah,
So,
it's-
yeah.
Like what he says,
awesome.
he's like, "Goodbye, old friend,"
Yes.
and
Yep.
it was crazy, and it was a beautiful spectacle of fire and explosions, and our big Godzilla friend comes emerging out of the ocean,
so
roaring his atomic breath into the sky like a beacon.
Supercharged.
so why was he there in the first place?
Say again?
Why was
Wow.
Godzilla there in the first place?
Godzilla was pretty much dying back in his home because he had been,
They dropped an oxygen destroyer on him.
yes, in his encounter with,
His first encounter with Ghidorah.
With
Or
Ghidorah, yeah.
second encounter.
yeah.
First encounter was in Antarctica.
Yeah,
Which the oxygen destroyer is a nice little callback to 1954's Godzilla, like how they killed the original Godzilla was
Wow,
with an
look at
oxygen
that.
destroyer.
look at that, kicking it out, man.
If there's anything I can say with absolute authority is that
Kaiju nut.
I am unreasonably obsessed with Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
That's my pop culture icon is Godzilla and the Toho MonsterVerse.
so the thing is, it didn't affect King
King Ghidorah.
Ghidorah because he's not from this planet,
Nope.
which is an interesting twist.
He is actually an alien, which, I'm sorry to bring this up, is also a callback to the first Ghidorah movie. He is actually brought down to Earth by aliens.
They did that in the Netflix series too.
Yep.
Yep.
Ghidorah is not of this Earth. That's why his rivalry with Godzilla in this movie is like as big as it is. It's the battle between two apex alpha predators duking it out over the domain of the Earth. Other kaiju that show up in this movie that we
Rodan.
get Rodan, which that opening scene with Rodan like flying over.
Is she like a phoenix, or is he like a phoenix?
Yeah.
He's
I would say it's pretty
he's
close.
like a prehistoric like pterosaur that's also made of fire. Like he's more of a pterosaur than a bird.
It looked like he was a phoenix though. It looked
Because
like a
of the-
bird.
Because he was rising out of the volcanic
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
lava and stuff. So yeah, it did have that effect.
It's weird because like the original Rodan puppet was more like a 1950s like idea of what a pterodactyl looks like.
Yeah.
So in this like modern interpretation, he's like a mix of a pterodactyl and a bird.
Yep.
But what? Okay. No, that scene where he's flying over.
It's just our production guys, the guys who are in your spot, your usual spot. They're giving us a little instruction.
Okay.
Good job, guys.
So Rodan breaks out of his containment cell. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, and he flies over this city in Mexico, and just the devastation of just him flying over, not necessarily attacking anyone,
Yeah.
is just ripping people off the ground, like throwing them into buildings.
Yeah.
People were flying everywhere.
It was honestly, it was kind of the scariest part of the movie for me. Like, it's just like the idea of just like suddenly this hurricane force wind just ripping you off the ground and smashing you into a building.
Yep.
That was the scariest point of the movie.
For me,
I
like,
jumped when Godzilla decided to like come back at the base and just sort of, yeah.
oh yeah, his
I jumped
his swim
like 10
by.
feet high. It's like, oh my god!
So we got Rodan, we got
Yep.
Godzilla, we got King Ghidorah,
Yep.
and our last. We also mentioned her at the beginning, Mothra.
Mothra. Yep.
Mothra starts this movie as a larva.
Yep.
You know, little baby. She just hatches. She immediately retreats into a waterfall and starts to cocoon up
Yeah.
in that waterfall. And about halfway through the movie, or how about halfway through?
Yeah.
Mothra breaks out of her cocoon, and it's probably one of the most
Beautiful,
artistically
yeah.
beautiful moments
It
because
was
like
very elegant when it was
the-
coming out. It was like the wings were just
it's not just that; it's
it
also
was
like
heavenly.
the sky was clear. Like it rains for so long in this movie. It's like 98% is rain. It's one of the few scenes that there's no rain. They're in front of a waterfall, but like you see these like moon particles like coming down from the sky
Yeah.
into Mothra's cocoon, and then she like breaks out, and she just starts glowing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
my
the,
gosh,
the
it's so
moment
beautiful.
stands in stark contrast to the rest of the film for sure.
yes, where
Well-
there's mindless destruction, there's this one scene of just true beauty.
Because she's like a goddess or whatever, right?
Yes.
And they mentioned that with the people who watch Mothra, the clan or
The civilization that worshipped her,
yes,
she was hailed as a goddess of life.
but they had like descendants in the movie talking about her too.
Yes, which I want to say is a callback to Mothra's fairies, which
The New York, they were in New York.
I'm sorry, say again.
2 girls that went to New York,
No,
and there was a New York. No, I thought it was New
no.
York.
I don't even know where you guys are going with this conversation.
Well, I had a comp like I was on Chuckle's radio station, and they were talking about kaiju and all kinds of stuff. That's how I know.
Okay.
So one of the monarch scientists, she knows a lot about Mothra and her history, and she talks about how like her family is like hugely into Mothra. And in the old Mothra movies, Mothra actually had like 2 fairies who were like her protectors, and there were these 2 like young Asian women.
Were they twins?
They were.
Because they mentioned that in the movie.
Yeah, this monarch operative has a twin sister who also worked in the company. So
Yep.
I thought that was a little callback to Mothra, which I'm gonna keep doing this, guys. I'm sorry, making callbacks to old Godzilla movies because not everything is always an original idea. Sometimes references and those deep cut nostalgia bones are fun to pick. So
Anyone who is familiar with Hollywood on any level knows that originality is not exactly something that is often seen.
Yes.
Right.
A lot of reboots and remakes and
Yes, nods, odes to.
yeah.
previous adaptations.
Homage.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
I think you
but-
pretty much covered everything.
We've spent some time talking about a lot of the throwback references to old Godzilla movies and kaiju movies. We've talked a lot about the special effects, but let's talk about some of the dialogue. Let's talk about some of the moments, especially when Mark is lamenting his downward spiral and not wanting his daughter to see him at his worst moments. Was it just absolutely as painful for you as it was for me to watch him deliver those lines?
You know what?
It wasn't the worst.
Pacific
No?
Rim was worse for acting, I think.
I think that that white-haired
Trust me.
doctor
Yeah.
had some of the worst lines and delivery in the movie.
Which doctor?
The white-haired doctor, the one who's like, everyone's like, oh my god, and he's like, Zilla.
Oh yeah, the guy with the glasses. Can we shut
yeah.
that show again? I was like,
Yeah, let's invite him in for a beer. It's like, what are you doing?
I probably
think-
shouldn't criticize because most of his lines were probably worthy of all the puns that I deliver on this show.
Yeah, you know,
But
yeah, he was kind of like you.
at least you
so
wouldn't. At least
if
you
I
wouldn't
if I start
finish-
criticizing him, is that self-hate?
No, maybe.
Audience, comment below and tell us if it's self-hatred. No, I don't think so, Chris.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, for as cringy as some of the dialogue is, it's sort of expected in a Godzilla movie that your strongest suit is not going to be dialogue.
Have you seen the older movies? I'm just saying.
Come on.
Usually they look up and they say, "It's Godzilla," and they start running, and you know.
I
Fair. That's fair.
I offer
Okay.
you Godzilla versus Gigan or Megalon, where it's some of the worst translations and worst acting I've ever seen in my life.
What do you mean?
I don't know if you saw that from his mic, but Chris just kind of like moved his mouth for a second before he said anything, and kind of like ducked his lips down so you couldn't see his lips actually move.
So they did mention King Kong and Skull Island a bunch of
Yes.
times, which I was like really excited.
3 or 4 times they mentioned Kong and Skull Island. So
I will say I did appreciate that, and you know the fact that they're probably leading to an eventual Godzilla versus Kong movie.
I think
Yep.
that's what they're talking about for the second
2020.
one.
So
Next year we're getting a King Kong versus Godzilla movie.
There's a lot of good things
so
coming
they're,
out
they're
2020.
already filming this.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right, that's cool.
Yes.
And if you watch Kong Skull Island and you're like, oh, King Kong is too small to fight Godzilla, that King Kong was still a baby. He was still growing. So allegedly, by the time we get to Godzilla versus King Kong, they're going to be at the same height.
Don't worry, guys. He'll do
He's
a
gonna
Goku.
go grape ape on him.
He's gonna do a Goku, you know, energy beam out of his mouth.
You know, if he pulls that out of his bag, I can honestly say I didn't see that coming. I hope not.
So,
Yeah.
when you go to see Godzilla, you don't go for the acting or the storyline. You go for the giant monster battles.
Why can't we demand more from our film?
Sometimes
Okay.
you just want giant monsters fighting. That's it.
I
give
I
us
just
a
wanted
bit.
more than a dollar store script. That's
Oh.
all.
Chris,
Oh.
I'm going to ask you this.
Here we go.
Did you see 2014's Godzilla?
Yes.
Can you say that movie had a better human cast than King
I
of the
don't-
Monsters?
A cast? I mean, I don't think it really had to do with the cast so much.
Well,
as
I
it
mean,
was
like, the human
as it
story
was
and-
the script.
Was the
Oh.
human story in the first
Wait,
one any
wait.
better?
You know, if we're gonna talk about strips, I can talk about some Marvel.
Did you say strips or scripts?
Scripts.
We're not talking
Oh,
comics right
here
now.
we go. I know. But I'm just saying, there's been some horrible movies of that also.
Yeah, but we're talking about Godzilla right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and in fairness, the 2014 film, I don't really recall having the reaction to the human part of the story in such a way. Like, I really feel like I walked away from that movie going, "Wow, that was a good movie." I like the fact that Godzilla was kind of like a great white shark through a good part of the movie.
Yeah.
I like that. It built a lot of tension. You know, and I felt like there was great payoff when you finally saw him. But I remember the storyline being... I didn't walk away from that movie feeling the way I did from this one. You know, this one I really felt there was a lot of cringe-worthy dialogue scenes in it. That just, I don't know.
And you know what? You're entitled to that.
And maybe I just have a short memory, in fairness. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like I went back and watched the 2014 in preparation to see this one. So...
The only thing I can say about 2014's like script and cast was the only good actor like from the human side was Bryan Cranston, and they killed him off within 10 minutes.
yeah.
Then you were stuck with Jarhead McSoldier Boy
Oh God.
for the rest of the movie.
We got
and
that in this movie too, kind of.
sort of, but we had more humans that we actually cared about in this time around.
Yeah.
Because I cared more about Millie Bobby Brown and Ken Watanabe and some of the people from Monarch more than I did about Jarhead McSoldier Boy. The only thing I remember about Jarhead,
Jarhead is not a very nice term.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he calls himself that in the movie.
That's
That he-
Hollywood for you. Okay. Anyway.
I don't even remember the character's name, so
I don't
that's-
either. I mean, so for lack of better words, we can call him that
Yeah,
since he called himself
I
that.
apologize to any soldiers who watch our stuff.
Marines in this case. Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so at the end of the day, we had a Godzilla film, and I should not expect this is your theory. I should not expect a top-notch script for the actors to work with. Actors, by the way, who were very good. They're strong. I mean, the actors that they chose for these roles are pretty good.
Yeah, they had strong.
They had a
a
good
strong
cast.
cast.
They had
Yeah.
a good, strong cast.
yeah.
They just didn't have a lot to work with, I'm
Well,
afraid.
usually that happens in Hollywood, though, in some
Yeah,
cases.
it does. It does. You know.
So,
I mean, you're not going to turn down a payday like that, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
know, this big blockbuster movie, and I'm sure it's made
a
money
lot of
that's-
money.
It's unfortunately this movie isn't doing as well as everyone was hoping it would.
no.
I've heard a lot of people who were like kind of split about it. You know, kind of raising out points that you raise and points that we raise. That
Okay.
you know, it's like some people aren't entirely sure if after Kong and Godzilla, if we're going to get any more movies after this.
Oh.
Which I really hope we do, because and again, this is a deep wish of mine, because there's another property that Legendary owns.
What property is that?
That would be Pacific Rim.
Yes, they were in talks to. I heard they were going to try to combine the two.
That's what
I
I
don't
would
know
love.
what happened to that, because Godzilla would probably destroy giant robots like that
No,
thing.
see,
but
here's what I want for a Pacific Rim Godzilla crossover. I would want a big, basically like another Ghidorah. Like, let's get like a big evil monster roaming down to Earth, and now we need.
Gamera.
I was thinking Destroyer.
No, a giant turtle.
I don't know, man. Anyway, I want Godzilla to team up with the teams that make up the Jaegers, but they need a Jaeger that can run alongside Godzilla.
So you want a Mecha Godzilla?
So they make a Mecha Godzilla Jaeger.
Godzilla gets inside a Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, like Tony Stark and Iron Man. Yeah, it just goes on him. He's like, "Grr." And then he'll have a voice and everything. He can talk.
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Can I just say that?
I don't think Hollywood's going to hire us right now.
No, I don't think so either.
Are you kidding? I think that's $1 million idea right there.
The anime, Japanese anime might though, because they do some crazy stuff. But yeah, I don't know if there was a good movie for what it
right.
was.
So verdict is we get 2 thumbs up from you guys,
And you go,
right? And I'm gonna go more of a thumbs middle.
Thumbs
Middle. Very mediocre.
Can I raise this point?
Yes.
Is it a good movie on its own? I'd say it's a 7 out of 10 on its own. I would say as a sequel, it is arguably a perfect sequel to the original Godzilla.
So how does a 7 out of 10 movie become a perfect sequel?
There is no such thing as a perfect movie. It's impossible to be a perfect movie. You can have a perfect sequel, though.
Not that I want to go down this rabbit hole.
No, don't.
But-
Because you guys have to talk about Game of Thrones.
Alien and Aliens. Now that movie was a completely different type of movie than Alien, right? But I'll tell you, as a sequel, perfect. That was, I would argue that would be the perfect sequel.
There's a couple movies that have perfect sequels. It's not necessarily that it's the best sequel of all time. I'm just saying, objectively, as a sequel, it is a perfect film.
Stay out of the rabbit hole.
I will give you this, Phil, that this movie is not nearly as bad as many sequels I have seen that have fallen way short of their originals.
You know what?
Yes.
So
I'll take that.
I'll give you that.
I will take that.
I didn't. My wife actually watched this movie with me, and I have to say I came out of the movie with defending the movie to her because she was actually ripping into it so bad.
Wow, we're gonna have to talk about that.
I was forced to defend it.
Wow.
But I
I
also didn't.
thought she would have liked that, but okay.
I didn't want her to feel like she wasted her money.
Oh, yeah. There's some, yeah.
Valid. That's valid.
We don't go down that rabbit hole
But
either.
then again, the Shadow Boss typically does not like movies without Disney princesses, which I have so often inform the audience here. So
Well,
that should be considered.
there is a Ninja Turtle movie she might actually like with Batman.
Oh, I know you. Okay, little preface here. Grimm really wanted to talk Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but
I got shut down.
unfortunately,
Big
the rest
time.
of us haven't seen it. So maybe a future episode we'll talk about it potentially.
Maybe.
Potentially, we'll see.
Jury's still out on that one. We'll see.
The jury's out. I know his his opinion was very high of it, and I know I saw some other opinions on the interwebs
On the interwebs. On the
that were very
interwebs.
similar.
The internet. Yeah.
So, but I think we should. Do we have anything more to say about Godzilla
No.
before we move on to?
I think he hit all the points and the lows and the highs.
Yeah, I got all my stuff out.
you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool.
I'll put things in post if I forget anything. If I've forgotten anything and remember it
You'll
later,
just
I'll
start to
just
see
there we
like
go.
bloop.
I'll put text box in.
Nice. So-
That won't work for the audio version though, so
No.
you'll miss out on that.
Maybe you can Morse code it. You can put Morse code inside the.
Listen, if our
Podcast.
listeners understand Morse code,
Maybe
know what?
some of them do.
you get a clap and a half from me.
Nice.
But moving on from the King of Monsters, let's
Yeah.
go on to the Game of Thrones,
Oh, no, we can talk about different would-be kings
or would-be queens,
or queens. Yeah.
All right. So, as we all know, Game of Thrones had its season 8 finale and series finale.
Yes.
And the nerd rage went on.
Went out with a whimper
Oh God.
Yeah,
I'm
and a lot of whining.
a lot of complaining and arguing, saying it was the worst season ever.
a lot of rushed stuff. So I take it a lot of us didn't like Game of Thrones.
I didn't
season 8?
watch it.
You didn't watch? Okay.
I'm just hearing what everybody else is saying from the fans.
I mean, I would certainly say, as someone who's read the books, I can't really say read because I read 2 and then listened to the audiobooks for the other ones. I will say this: I've always been a little bit disappointed with the show because there are just so many things that main storylines or plot, big plot threads that got left out.
Yeah.
That being said, you had up until a certain point in the series, you had the guidance of Martin's works,
Yes.
and then at some point here in the last season, about a season and a half maybe or so,
You're talking about when the books
when the books ended and they went beyond.
That was about I want to say
probably
about
actually
season
about 2
6.
seasons, right?
The beginning of season 6, I want to say. They had passed the books.
They had
and
passed the books. And you can see that I think the show suffers from that because you really
There was a
have-
big drop off in the quality of writing.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people kind of taking Martin's vision and then pushing the story forward. There's been some debate how much guidance they got from Martin himself.
The only thing I heard with any certainty was that he told the writers, the guys who were in charge, how the story was going to end, like his confirmed canonical ending, and
I think he said he was going to change it in the books, from what I hear.
he probably might, seeing how negatively people accepted it. But if I know Martin's writing, he could probably keep the same story beats, but write it in a satisfying way that people could be okay with it.
Conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory. Dun,
He
dun,
never
dun.
intended to end his books with the ending that the show provided, knowing
I've-
full well that he would not be able to market his books as well.
I also heard that the writers were kind of getting bored with writing the Game of Thrones series. That's
Yeah,
why it seemed like it was rushed.
The writers for Game of Thrones, they wanted to end it as quickly as they could, so they can move on to their next project, which is the Star Wars series or the franchise.
Star Wars out trumps Game of Thrones.
I don't
Dun,
know.
dun, dun.
If that really is the case, then shame on HBO for not hiring some better people.
Yeah. So primarily I don't know. I don't want to make this a big complaint fest
No.
about
Go ahead,
Game
get
of
your
Thrones.
nerd rage out. Go ahead, it's okay.
Here's the thing. I don't have any rage. I'm kind of apathetic to the whole thing. It's just like it was just bad writing. You had characters that were very poorly executed. You had story beats that were initially started that never had a payoff. There was nothing. It was very weak payoffs for the stuff that they did right.
Give us some examples of some of those major grievances you just aired.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up Arya, because Arya, I feel like, could have had a really good conclusion, but they kind of dropped the ball on her.
Who's her? Who's Arya?
Arya? Oh my gosh.
How much of Game of Thrones do you actually know?
None. Oh wait, I know that the dragons were coming and winter is coming, and all those other pop references I constantly see on
Playing the role of Tyler this month.
Excuse me?
Is the dwarf. Playing the role of the elf is the dwarf.
We knew you guys had something in common.
Oh wow, wow.
So, Grim.
Yeah.
Grim. Arya is a character in Game of Thrones who is ostensibly, she follows the Batman story arc, where she suffers immense tragedy at the hands of people in situations that she cannot fully comprehend.
Does she talk like this?
No.
Oh, okay.
So she loses both of her parents, and she begins a quest of vengeance. She learns a set of skills by going to an isolated monastery, learns the method of killing. Specifically, she learns of a magic called stealing people's faces.
Oh, I've heard about this guy. Yep.
It's a girl.
Girl, yeah.
So
Ryan talked about him at the shop because he's a huge
yes, he is a big Game of Thrones
Game
fan.
of Thrones fans. Shout out to Ryan.
In, I want to say it was season 2, they meet Arya meets a character called the Red Priestess, who says that she sees 3 sets of eyes staring back at her. Eyes of brown, eyes of green, and eyes of blue. Now, that in the books has not made any fruition, no payoff for that. In season 8, Arya meets up with the Red Woman again and mentions that same initial prophecy that she made. There was no payoff for that because Melisandre dies, the Red Woman dies in that episode. Arya kills only one person who fits that description, which is the Night's King,
Yep.
who has the eyes of blue.
Yes.
And can I just say, Arya killing the Night's King, that wasn't her story. That was Jon's. Because Jon's whole thing was defending the wall.
Go ahead, say it, Chris. I knew you want to say something.
Yeah, but so another Stark was about to be eliminated.
And it wasn't Tony.
And grim. Grim.
When you get back to the shop, you're putting $1 in.
Okay. Another Stark was about to be taken off the board, and Arya, it's almost as if the Night King was not so much, I agree, Arya's story, but protecting her family, and her family's name was. You know?
But why did she have to just leap out of nowhere? Why did she have to
that was pretty weak. I mean, you had the whole place surrounded, and somehow she just materializes from
she literally
nothing.
just drops out of the smoke. It's like,
Because you said she was like Batman, so doesn't that Batman do that? Isn't she like an assassin, like a ninja assassin? You're trying to explain this to me. That's what she's starting to sound like. So
yeah, they also wrote her with the biggest plot armor, in a very unsatisfying way because in this series, it is established from the get-go that no character has plot armor.
True.
So the fact that this character can just walk around in the most infested battlefield with enemies on all sides and she gets nary a scratch on her, or it's not just her, that like all of our main leads have plot armor now, had plot armor because the show's over. It's a level of inconsistency that annoys me.
just a noise.
I don't get angry at movies and TV shows.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm not Tyler. I don't get angry irrationally because DC.
Phil is Captain Cool in comparison to Tyler. about this stuff.
I am the most chill. I am the Loki to his Thor.
Good comparison. All right. But, okay. I do have to say that one thing that I heard a lot of butthurt over was the whole Daenerys going crazy thing. People don't understand. She was always wired that way.
Yeah, she's always been crazy.
She has always been narcissistic. Now, even if her narcissism was hidden in acts of benevolence, she was always all about that throne. And that was the only thing that mattered to her.
Not just that, name me any one of the places that she occupied that fared well. There
Good
was,
point.
There was no. No.
Was it Narnia?
No.
I'm about to mute him.
There's
I'll behave myself.
no place that she ruled as a leader fared well. Everything fell apart.
Exactly.
She's always been a little bit unhinged. It just became more and more pronounced in the last few episodes of Game of Thrones.
That's right. And leading up to this moment, sure, I've read the books. I've had the benefit of the source material, but her turn should not have been that much of a mystery or a swerve to
No,
people. I think people wanted to get behind her, and I think there were a lot of fans that want to make the story their own, of course. And just like HBO's writers did.
Yeah.
But actually, that was one of the plot lines that I felt made sense. We were brought to this point by Martin's own works.
Yeah.
And Daenerys' turn was completely in character. Her going crazy on that dragon and destroying and razing that city. Let's face it, Cersei, there was no room for any kind of forgiveness in her heart.
No.
For Cersei, especially an attempt on her life. They tried to poison her. It was all going to happen. This was going to happen, and so that whole thing, I know that really ticked off a lot of people. But I felt like, no, this is the story. This is exactly what should have happened. I mean, not what should have happened from the standpoint of humanitarianism, but from the standpoint of this character's arc and the story so far.
Right.
It was leading to this.
So, Chris, I have a question. You've read the
Yes.
books and seen the TV series.
Yes.
Which one were they very close together when they had source material from the books?
There are major events through the earlier seasons that very closely mirror the books.
Yeah.
But there are lots of plot lines that are never addressed in the TV show. The TV show cannot. I mean, the scope of the books is so
Right.
wide,
Okay.
and there's so many more characters.
That's the thing about adaptation. You have to inevitably cut things out of the source material to acclimate to a different source of media.
Yes.
Which, going from the page to the screen, means side stories get cut.
Of course.
That's inevitable.
There's one major side story that the books cover that I really felt was criminal to leave out of the TV show, and that is Catelyn Stark's story arc.
The Lady Stoneheart arc.
Yes.
Yeah.
After the Red Wedding, her story did not end. And
Do you know about the Red Wedding, Grim?
I've heard about the Red Wedding.
So, do you know who Catelyn Stark is at all, or no?
No.
So,
it's not Tony's mom.
Wait, is it his daughter?
No.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay.
So, Catelyn Stark is a noblewoman whose son was murdered, and she herself was murdered at this event called the Red Wedding. Like Chris said, this is not where her story ends. She is brought back from the dead.
Like a lich?
Sort of?
You say like a lich?
She is... Martin called her a firewhite, being that she is born of fire from a red...
Beric, right?
Yes, Beric Dondarrion, the Lightning Lord, who he himself has been brought back from death's from the...
Oh boy.
See, this is what happens when you talk about Game of Thrones. The gods get angry.
Live TV, folks. You just never know what's going to happen.
I don't know what that was. That was weird.
That was funny. Do it again.
No, I'm not doing that again.
No.
So, Beric Dondarrion was a character who was brought back from death. I want to say like 8 or 9 times.
Yes.
And every time you're brought back from death, when you're brought back to life, you lose a bit of who you were before you died.
Oh, this sounds familiar through some other media.
Yes, a lot of other sources, a lot of other stories and media do the same thing. So when Catelyn Stark dies and is brought back, she is a shriveled, pale husk of what she once was. How she died, her throat was cut wide open. So now whenever she talks, she actually has to like close her throat up.
Oh, she was smoking too much. Gotcha.
Yes, she has the smoker's neck. Anyway, her driving goal, like her purpose now in Undeath, is to find every Lannister supporter, every Frey, and systematically murder them all.
Nice. Sounds like a nice woman.
It's craziness.
It's
And
beautiful revenge.
Yeah.
yes, she has become a revenant.
Yes.
And in the books, 2 of our main characters are where their stories end in book 5. They're currently getting nooses tied around their neck from the command of Lady Stoneheart, which is what Catelyn Stark calls herself now.
That's right.
She is
The Frey boys.
yes.
Yep.
So, Chris, were you happy about the ending?
I was. I would say that the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. However, the ending made sense. Things ended where I believe the story should have ended, basically, with the Starks were once wiped off the face of the map and then end up in all the leadership positions throughout the land, which is kind of irony, right?
Yeah.
He wants to
that's-
say something with the face.
I mean, that's more or less what's happened.
All I'm going to say is I don't think Bran should have been the king in the end. Because, like, it seems like if this series wanted to finish in a satisfying way, really the biggest problem in this show, like, in terms of, like, all the major conflicts from, like, the human side, it's all a power climb for the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
So if you really want this series to end in a satisfying way, get rid of the Iron Throne. Break off and become 7 separate kingdoms again.
They did get rid of the Iron Throne.
Well, they still have a king that they all, like, adhere to.
Oh.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
there is
Because I was going to say the Iron Throne was
Destroyed by a
literally
dragon, right?
melted down.
Yes, it was melted down, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
like, the symbol of the throne, like, the king who presides over everyone. that
One
needs
ring to rule them all.
Well, they did put an important piece in there, and that was getting rid of the nepotism.
Yeah.
Right. So so people who were deemed to be unfit wouldn't automatically inherit the leadership, and that the council would decide. So that's
So it's more of like a constitutional monarchy in that situation.
correct. And I thought, it. I did feel that there really was going to be no way for the writers of the show to end it in a satisfactory way for the people,
Right.
the viewers. I mean, every great show seems to let down their audience by the end, right? I mean, it seems to be a pretty common thing. How do you end a show? It's the toughest thing to do, I think, in a satisfactory way.
Yeah.
So
But here's the thing is, if they continued, they would eventually get to jump the shark. And you don't want a series to have jump the shark episode. Then it just gets really wonky and, like, not to the
certainly it can
thing.
it can do that. I mean, I think, but the only way it's funny you say that though, because the only way I think they could probably have delivered an ending that would have satisfied more was to lead the audience to believe that there was more story to tell. But they really wanted to kind of tie things up. I mean, I understand that there are some storylines there. They tease Arya, sailing west, right?
Yeah.
They do a few things like that where they kind of lead you to believe that there is more story to tell for some characters, but for the most part, they've ended the entire controversy that 8 seasons worth of show has led to. They've capped it. They've put a bow on it. They've tied it up. Lost couldn't satisfy its throngs of fans. So many shows that have How I Met Your Mother. We talked about this on another show just recently.
Yeah.
It was another one that people left wanting. The Sopranos. Every show that has like this major following seems to end
Will
up
inevitably
failing,
disappoint.
will inevitably disappoint their audience by the end. And that disappointment, part of it, I'm sure, is due to the fact that people don't want to see it ending.
Nah.
They don't want to see the end.
Well,
So where do you go? I mean, how about this? Read the books. You'll get a lot more satisfaction. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, I really highly recommend that you either read or listen to the audios of these books and get ready for another serving next year.
Who's reading the audio books?
Roy Dotrice reads the audiobooks. Funnily enough, he was also in the show. He played a minor character in the show.
Dun dun dun.
Which character?
He played Pyromancer Lysel.
Oh,
Fire Mage?
Basically, he makes alchemist fire.
Oh, okay.
Like, huge stores of alchemist fire.
Nice.
yes.
But yeah,
That's cool.
that was because what was a little bit of a Easter egg about the behind the scenes stuff. Roy Dotrice was actually supposed to be Grand Maester Pycelle, but he got sick before he could actually start recording for season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So they got their second choice guy to fill in.
Okay.
Before Roy Dotrice unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. He was 91, I believe. He was up there.
All right.
So for the new audiobooks, when Martin publishes them, if ever he publishes them, Mr. Dotrice will unfortunately not.
Maybe he will be hot in the grave.
Supposedly, the next volume of the story allegedly is coming out by next July.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
He said something like, you can, if I don't deliver by that date, like you could probably do horrible things to him or something like that. You could lock him up and put him in prison or something like that. So I don't know. So I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take him at his word.
One of the things that I was reading about that was the government of New Zealand reached out to him and said if he'd like, they can personally fly him out to an isolated location so that he can finish writing the books with no distractions. To which he replied, I will be too busy being distracted by your beautiful landscapes to actually finish writing the books.
But this was where Lord of the Rings was filmed.
That's true.
That's true.
Exactly.
But that was I thought that was a little funny thing. He said that, kind of following up what you said there, if he didn't get the book finished by a certain date, he said that he would absolutely be willing to have, not willing, but people, he would not be angry at people if they locked him up in a cabin with his computer and just forced him to.
Does he know how geeks are? They probably will do that to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. He better
I
get
think
it
he
done.
understands. I think he's one himself, so
Yeah.
I think he understands.
You know what's really funny is watching authors like Martin and Stephen King talking together, and Martin looks at King and goes, "Steve, how do you write so many books? Genuinely, I want to know. How do you write so much?" And he goes, King's reply is, "I write 2,000 words a day. Every day I write at least 2,000 pages for a story that I'm working on. Not 2,000 pages, 2,000 words. I write 2,000 words in a day." And Martin's just like, "I can't do that."
So, what are you guys going to be doing now? Since Game of Thrones is over, what's the next thing you guys are going to be interested in?
I'm currently re-listening to the audiobooks, just kind of cleanse my palate and remember how good the stories actually are, and get all those story threads that I got before.
There are also there's that Targaryen novel that he wrote.
Yes, he
And
wrote.
I haven't read that one yet. So
He wrote a book called Fire and Blood, which is a story set way before the events of Game of Thrones. Just more like world building stuff than anything else. So I'll probably be listening to that.
Yep.
Everybody comes from the West. Everybody goes to the West in fantasy, apparently.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the rest of Martin's world, you don't want to go south. You don't want to go east. It's all bad. West is probably the most civilized place you
Yes.
can go.
Maybe.
Now I know you guys. Not both of you. I know Phil, you're a very busy guy. Grim, I know you're
Wow.
busy too.
Wow.
I know you're busy too, but you're.
Throw me under the bus. Ow, that kind of hurt. Anyways,
But we had this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
You take in a lot of media,
yes.
All right.
I do.
a lot more than I'm able to.
Well-
So to answer your question about I'm trying to answer your question. I have been watching some other things. Chernobyl. I've been enjoying that.
I saw the first episode.
Although enjoying it seems a little bit morbid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say enjoying it, but
Appreciating it.
I'm appreciating the material. It's a very good show, and also Westworld, which was something I never picked up on prior. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into that.
About the Watchmen that's gonna be coming out. Did you see the trailer for that?
I have not seen the trailer for Watchmen.
I might get
No,
HBO just for that.
Well, okay.
It looks really good.
I've
Might
been
be
watching.
something.
I started watching Good Omen. I got about halfway through the first episode, then I had to immediately leave and do something else. But yeah, I've been watching. Prime Video's Good Omen, written by Terry Pratchett. Sir Terry Pratchett.
I heard good things about Good Omen.
Yeah, it's,
I'm not familiar with it. What is it?
so it's. Do you know who Terry Pratchett is, or?
No.
Okay. He's an absurdist fantasy writer. Mixes all the different kinds of like theologies and fantasy elements into his own like bizarro world. But Good Omen is set in our world, and it is about 8 days away from the apocalypse.
Yep.
The apocalypse is happening, and our two main characters are an angel and a demon.
Yep.
And they are trying to find the Antichrist so they can postpone the apocalypse.
Because they liked the Earth
They like the Earth the way it is, so they're
Yep.
trying to find where the Antichrist is because
and save it.
the demon lost him. He doesn't remember where the demon the Antichrist is.
Okay.
So the whole series is, I'm assuming the whole series is going to be their like wild goose chase trying to find the child of the apocalypse, the Antichrist, and stop him from unleashing
Hell on
Armageddon.
Earth. There's been a lot of stuff like that between Sabrina and Lucifer, and now Good Omens. A lot of
I watched Sabrina.
yeah.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, that
Yes.
Netflix series that
I love that series. This is awesome. Though there were some scenes that were. That's another discussion.
different
Yes.
pop culture talk.
No,
Not this
another one for another time.
Yep.
Maybe a nice like Halloween special.
Ooh.
Spooky times.
Yes.
Speaking of Netflix,
Yes.
we wanted to talk about we wanted to make conjecture about
Oh, here we go. Planeswalkers walking.
the Magic the Gathering series that Netflix is producing.
Yeah. So that just got announced. So there's really not a whole lot
Yeah,
of
there's
information
really not
out
much
there.
to say. It's just I thought it'd be fun to kind
They-
of speculate.
They did call it Magic the Gathering anime, which
So you think
At
it's
the
going to be
risk-
animated?
well,
Yeah.
clearly it's going to be animated.
It probably
But-
will be a better job if it's animated, I would think.
There's too many fantastical elements to realistically put into a Netflix series
Yeah.
with live action.
Yeah.
Like, I know Netflix doesn't have no budget, but they do better animated series.
Yes.
Like with their like
They
more
did a good
out
job
there.
with Castlevania.
Yeah,
Oh, they did a
Castlevania.
phenomenal job with Castlevania.
Their Castlevania series, I highly recommend that.
They've done a lot of good reboots too, and
They did the Voltron series. I didn't watch it.
That
but,
was
I
amazing.
saw the art and I'm like, that looks really good.
you should watch that.
I have not seen that one.
I know
Cyclic
they
Deadly
re-
Sins. I
they
can name a
did-
bunch of them. IGN.
They did a reboot of She-Ra, Princess of Power. So
Oh, that just looked terrible.
I
didn't see
watched
it,
it. Yeah.
I know Netflix does really good animated stuff, like stuff that people like.
Troll Hunters.
Troll Hunters, yep.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro's.
Below 3-0. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of good animated stuff from Netflix. So
Oh.
I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Magic the Gathering animation.
I'm sure many Magic the Gathering players out there would join you in agreement that they are very interested in seeing this come to life.
We
And-
should probably stream it at the shop. Just saying, like, get the big TV, like reactivate our
Okay,
Netflix
well,
account.
it's either going to be good or it's going to be horrible. Because me being a Dungeons and Dragons fan saw what they did with that movie, and then it was. We won't talk about it.
That was so many years ago.
So you guys are having it
Wait,
animated.
who remember who was in that movie?
No, I try to
Jeremy
forget.
Irons.
I try to forget. Okay,
Jeremy Irons.
I just
And
just
which
Wayans.
Wayans brother was it?
Just smash my head right now, please.
One of the Wayans brothers was in
Marlon.
it. Marlon Wayans, that's it.
Also, the Fourth Doctor was in it.
Oh God, you made a Doctor Who reference.
Yep.
No. All right. Anyways,
so
I'm a monster right now.
does Magic the Gathering have really good source material to have like an interesting plot?
I think so. It's definitely got a varied like universe and lore. Like you can really have any of the planeswalkers. You can have all different kinds of stories like focused around them.
think about it this way. Even though it's not talked about, there's a lot. It's all about the cards and the values and playing the game itself. There is a lore that gets released with every single release that they have.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
had, we'll say it's probably the mid 90s when they really started writing the lore to go along with the game.
Yeah.
So they have a good 17 years
Of source
building
material.
lore with say 4 chapters of lore per year. So there's probably a lot there that they could work with.
I'd say
with
so.
the existing.
I talked to Brent about it, and I said, "What do you think about Magic the Gathering coming out?" It's like, I think it's gonna be good. I don't know. I've heard a lot of information. I said, "Do you think they're gonna do it from the original lore, or do you think they're gonna do the modern stuff?" And he's like, "Probably the modern stuff, the modern lore that's coming out."
Probably. I mean, that's
Go on
the
with
stuff
the
that's
game.
most recent. It would be most accessible to most people who,
Sure.
probably within the last 4 or 5 years of
Mm-hmm.
stuff to gather stories of basically.
They know who they're marketing it to.
Yeah.
So
They know
they're
exactly
gonna-
who their market is.
the age group and everything else. So
It's a vast, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a chance.
Yeah. I don't even play Magic.
Okay,
would give
I
it a
will watch it, and I'm not a planeswalker whatsoever. Don't like the game, but if the story's really good,
Yeah.
I'll check it out. If it's a good fantasy, storytelling,
Okay.
Yeah.
let's check it out and see if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's coming out that has you guys?
Dark Crystal.
The
Yes,
Dark
the Dark
Crystal.
Crystal Netflix series is coming out in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was watching the promo trailer for that, and I showed it to my dad because he showed me the first Dark Crystal movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wait, is that CG or is that
No.
puppets?" I'm like,
It's
"They're all puppets.
That's all practical effects.
All practical."
All practical effects.
And-
it looks amazing.
I'm excited for it.
I can't wait.
That's cool.
What are your thoughts on that?
On the Dark Crystal? I was never a big fan of the Dark Crystal movie. I have to say.
You're more Labyrinth guy?
I guess I liked Labyrinth. No, but no, I'd have to go back and watch it again. It's been a long time since I gave the Dark Crystal a try. So
Yeah.
it has me intrigued enough that I'd probably go back and try to watch the movie again to see if my opinion had changed.
So
Let's think about that. When did the Dark Crystal come out?
1986.
Yes.
1986. So literally, it's probably been it was 1987 is probably when I saw it. You know,
Yeah,
and that's
It's
a long
it's about time for you to see it again.
So
Exactly.
I talked when I went to Rhode Island Comic Con. I talked to Bill Diamond. He's a puppeteer who worked on both Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and I asked him about like, well, what do you think about it? He's like, well, it's not going to be any. It's all going to be practical effects or whatever, and everything's going to be doing. And he's like, I'm not going to announce it, like, but it might happen if the Dark Crystal takes off. Netflix might do a Labyrinth series, and that would be pretty boss too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I just got sad because I remember David Bowie's not going to be there.
And
That's
well,
true.
maybe they could do a prequel or an after effect, or Toby all grown up. Maybe he becomes the Goblin King. Who knows?
Ooh, that's a
could do-
thought.
Well,
Yeah, no, I've always been a big fan of practical effects in movies, especially in a modern day and age where 98% of our, or like 90% of our content is CGI, which
Yeah.
I'm not knocking CGI. CGI is amazing. I just watched Godzilla. It's really good, guys.
It needs a balance. In
There
certain
does need to
things.
be a balance, yeah.
Because
like-
The Hobbit was.
This isn't really pop culture, but recently I just watched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I really liked the blend of CG and practical effects in that movie. So like, I like a balance. Not like Thanos balance, but you know what I mean.
Thanos balance. That guy?
Yeah, not that kind of balance.
snap your fingers.
It doesn't work.
Snap your neck.
But I think that's all we have for pop culture.
I think
tonight.
that's it. Yeah.
We've gone the full spectrum, monsters to complaining about Game of
Monsters to
Thrones.
Muppets.
Monsters to Muppets. There you go.
Monsters the Muppets. Awesome.
All right.
So, thank you very much for watching. We
Yes.
appreciate it. And, for those of
listening.
you listening on what will hopefully be our first podcast.
Yeah.
So,
I
exciting
feel
stuff.
so honored to be here for the first
Right?
podcast. That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, hopefully we'll develop a nice cast of characters to join us for future shows.
Oh.
A
including
veritable
Rim.
rogues gallery.
Oh, God.
Rogues
Rogues
Gallery. That
Gallery.
is probably more appropriate. Yes, especially with Tyler on the bench watching tonight. That's definitely Grim is a rogue to him.
That's because dwarves are better than elves.
So once again, we thank you, Grim, for joining us.
Oh, no problem.
For
Anytime.
this episode, and
I probably will be back for another pulp culture.
I'm sure we will see you again soon.
Yep.
And so thank you, Phil, for jumping on board. I think we're
Yep.
going to have you for the comic talk.
Yeah.
Since Tyler's nursing sunstroke today. Yeah.
Too
kind
much
of a
sun.
rough day for him. So
A couple days of sun.
yeah. But
It's the Irish curse.
the Irish curse, yeah.
He was in the woods.
So thank you very much. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share for a chance at the wonderful T-shirt
Sure.
that you have before you. And
Yes, Cthulhu.
it does not come
The
with
T-shirt
Cthulhu.
is awesome. No, Cthulhu was just here because you guys were talking about Godzilla, and he's like, "Why am I not there?" I don't
Because
know.
there's no good Cthulhu movies yet.
Vote for the greater evil, Cthulhu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you again for watching, and until next time, guys.